Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about one of the most surprising and exciting coins from the 1990s, the 1992 Washington Quarter Dollar. It might look like an ordinary coin that you could find in your pocket, but some rare examples of this quarter have shocked collectors around the world. Believe it or not, one unique 1992 Washington quarter was reportedly sold for a massive $1.5 million. That's right, a 25-cent coin that became worth more than a luxury home. So in this video, we're going to dig into the history behind this coin, what makes it so valuable, and exactly what to look for that could make your own 1992 quarter worth a fortune. Let's start with the background. The Washington Quarter has been an American classic ever since it was first introduced in 1932, designed by sculptor John Flanagan to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. It features his famous profile on the front and a majestic bald eagle on the back, symbolizing freedom and strength. The design stayed in use for decades and was still being struck in 1992, just a few years before the U.S. Mint launched the 50-state quarters program in 1999 that completely changed the look of the coin. The letter D under Washington's neck tells us that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. In 1992, the Denver Mint produced more than 450 million Washington quarters, so most examples are common and still only worth face value. But a few special coins, either with minting errors or in perfect uncirculated condition, can be worth far more than 25 cents. And one of those special coins, a minting error unlike any other, was the reason behind that incredible $1.5 million price tag. Now let's talk about what makes the rare 1992 quarter so valuable. During coin production, blank metal discs called planchets are fed into presses to be stamped with the coin's design. But sometimes, mistakes happen and the wrong kind of metal blank ends up in the machine. That's exactly what happened with the legendary 1992 Washington Quarter. It was struck on a 90% silver planchet that was never meant to be used in 1992. By that time, quarters were supposed to be made of copper-nickel clad, not silver. Because this coin was struck on a leftover silver blank from an earlier era and preserved in flawless condition, it became one of the rarest modern U.S. quarters ever known. When the coin was eventually authenticated and graded by a professional grading service, it was found to be a genuine mint error with full sharp details, perfect luster, and no signs of wear. Once it reached the auction block, collectors and investors went wild, driving the final price into the millions. It's a perfect example of how a small, accidental minting mistake can turn a piece of everyday change into a priceless treasure. Even if you don't have that exact million-dollar quarter, it's still worth checking your 1992 coins carefully. High-grade examples, especially those that have never been circulated and still have their original mint shine, can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Coins graded mint state 67 or higher by PCGS or NGC are especially desirable because it's difficult to find coins from this period in such pristine condition. The difference between a coin that's worth 25 cents and one worth hundreds often comes down to how well it's been preserved. When inspecting your own 1992 quarter, pay close attention to the overall condition. Washington's hair, face, and jawline are some of the first places that show wear, so look for sharp details there. Flip the coin over and check the eagle's wings and tail feathers for clarity. A coin with no scratches, no dull spots, and a mirror-like finish could be worth having professionally graded. Next, look for minting errors. A double die error, where parts of the design appear doubled, can greatly increase a coin's value. Check the date, the lettering, and the words Liberty and In God We Trust for any signs of doubling. Off-center strikes, where the design is not properly aligned with the rim, are also collectible. Another thing to check is the edge of the coin. A normal quarter will show copper between the nickel layers, but if your coin's edge looks solid silver all the way around, that's a major clue that it could be a wrong planchet error. In that case, weigh the coin. A normal 1992 quarter should weigh 5.67 grams, while a silver planchet error would weigh closer to 6.25 grams. If you think you found something unusual, don't clean it. Cleaning can remove the natural surface and destroy much of the value. Handle the coin carefully by its edges, store it in a soft holder, and consider sending it to a grading company like PCGS or NGC for professional evaluation. A certified coin is always easier to sell and will attract serious collectors and investors. The story of the 1992 D Washington quarter is an incredible reminder that even modern coins can hold secrets and surprises. It's easy to assume that only old coins from the 1800s or early 1900s are valuable, but that's not always true. Minting errors, rare materials, and high-grade examples from more recent decades are proving to be some of the most sought-after pieces in the market today. And that one-of-a-kind 1992 D silver planchet quarter is a perfect example. A tiny mint mistake that turned a common coin into a million-dollar legend. Oh, to sum it all up, the 1992 D Washington quarter dollar might look like an ordinary coin, but certain rare versions have stunned collectors with their incredible value. From high-grade mint state coins to rare off-metal errors, these quarters continue to fascinate experts and casual collectors alike. The combination of history, rarity, and condition is what drives their value. And that famous $1.5 million coin shows us that anything is possible when it comes to coin collecting. If you enjoyed learning about the 1992 D Washington quarter and its amazing story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos on rare coins, hidden treasures, and the stories behind American money. Hit the like button if you found this video interesting, share it with other collectors, and drop a comment below telling me what rare coins you've come across or want me to cover next. Thanks for watching. And as always, keep searching, keep learning, and happy collecting. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about a coin that might just be sitting in your pocket, your drawer, or your old coin jar, the 1982 P Washington quarter dollar. This is one of those coins that people often overlook because it seems so ordinary. But what if I told you that one rare version of this same coin has been valued at an unbelievable $1.6 million? That's right. A 25-cent piece that turned into a life-changing fortune. In this video, we're going to explore the history of the 1982 P quarter, the reason it's so important to collectors, and what makes certain versions worth huge amounts of money. Let's start with a little bit of history. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to celebrate the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first president of the United States. Designed by sculptor John Flanagan, it features Washington's profile on the front and an eagle on the back. For decades, this design remained mostly unchanged, becoming one of America's most iconic coins. But by the time we reached the 1980s, the U.S. Mint was making some big changes that would affect how these coins were produced and how collectors value them today. The letter P on the 1982 quarter stands for the Philadelphia Mint, which produced hundreds of millions of quarters that year. In fact, the 1982 P Washington quarter had a total mintage of more than 500 million coins. So you might wonder, how could something so common become worth over $1 million? The answer lies in two words: rarity and condition. While most 1982 quarters are still only worth face value, certain rare minting errors and high-grade examples have become extremely valuable. And one of those rare 1982 P quarters became a legend when it was authenticated as a unique mint error and sold for an incredible $1.6 million. What made that coin so special? To understand that, you have to know about one of the biggest changes the mint made in 1982. That was the year the United States stopped producing mint sets for general collectors. Because of that, very few uncirculated 1982 coins were preserved in perfect condition. Most went straight into circulation, which means finding a flawless example today is extremely rare. On top of that, the $1 million coin wasn't just any high-grade quarter. It was struck on a silver planchet that was never supposed to be used in 1982. In other words, the wrong metal blank somehow got fed into the press mint for copper-nickel quarters, and a silver error was born. That coin weighed slightly more than a normal quarter, had a brighter, shinier finish, and a distinct ring when tapped on a surface. When it was discovered decades later and authenticated by professional graders, it was confirmed to be a genuine off-metal mint error, a 1982 P quarter struck on a 90% silver planchet, making it one of a kind. Its exceptional condition and rarity combined to give it that jaw-dropping value of $1.6 million at auction. It's one of the greatest modern coin discoveries in U.S. minting history. But even if you don't have that exact coin, there are still valuable versions of the 1982 P quarter that can bring in serious money. Because the mint didn't release collector sets that year, uncirculated and high-grade examples are much harder to find than for other years. A 1982p Washington quarter graded mint state 67 or higher by PCGS or NGC can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Coins with full mint luster, sharp details, and no scratches or wear marks are what collectors dream of finding. Now let's talk about what you should look for. First, check the condition. Washington's hair, cheek, and jawline are the first areas to lose detail, so the sharper they appear, the better. On the reverse side, check the eagle's wings and tail feathers. The more defined they are, the higher the potential grade. If your coin looks unusually bright or has a silver-like edge instead of showing the typical copper layer in the middle, that's a big clue that it might be an off-metal strike. A regular 1982p quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If yours weighs closer to 6.25 grams, you might be holding a rare silver error. Using a precise digital scale can help you confirm the weight. Another thing to watch for is doubling. Some 1982p quarters show slight doubling in the lettering or numbers, especially in the date or in the words "In God We Trust." These double die errors can also increase a coin's value dramatically. Off-center strikes, broad strikes, and die cracks are other errors that can catch a collector's eye. Any coin that looks unusual, misaligned, or has extra lines or marks from the minting process could be worth a closer look. That if you find a coin that looks promising, handle it carefully. Don't clean it, because cleaning can scratch the surface and ruin the natural finish that collectors prize so highly. Hold it by the edges and store it in a soft holder or plastic coin flip. For any coin you suspect might be rare or valuable, it's always a good idea to send it to a professional grading company like PCGS or NGC. Once your coin is authenticated and graded, you'll have proof of its value and rarity, which makes it much easier to sell or insure. The 1982p Washington quarter is also historically important for another reason. It came out during a transitional time for the mint, right before the 1983 redesign of packaging and production methods, and just a few years before the introduction of the State Quarter series in 1999. It's one of the last years of the traditional eagle-back design and one of the hardest modern quarters to find in true mint condition. That's why it has become such a popular coin among collectors. So to sum it all up, the 1982p Washington quarter might look ordinary, but certain rare versions have proven to be worth astonishing amounts of money. From the ultra-rare silver planchet error that sold for $1.6 million to pristine mint state examples that bring in thousands, this coin reminds us that even modern coins can hold incredible hidden value. The next time you go through your spare change or an old coin jar, take a closer look. You never know what treasure might be waiting right in your hands. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed learning about the 1982p Washington quarter and its amazing story, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more videos about rare coins, hidden treasures, and the history behind American money. Don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, and leave a comment below telling me which rare coin you'd like me to talk about next. Until next time, keep searching, keep collecting, and remember, the smallest coins can sometimes hold the biggest surprises. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about one of the most interesting modern quarters you might have sitting right in your pocket change, the 1981p Washington quarter dollar. At first glance, it looks like any other quarter from the 1980s, but what most people don't realize is that some rare examples of this coin have been found to be worth a fortune. In fact, one unique 1981p Washington quarter has reportedly sold for an unbelievable $1.5 million. Yes, a simple 25-cent coin that could make you a millionaire. So in this video, we'll break down the history behind the 1981p quarter, what makes it special, and what features could make yours worth big money. Let's start with the background. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to celebrate the 200th birthday of George Washington. It replaced the standing Liberty quarter and quickly became one of America's most recognized coins. Designed by sculptor John Flanagan, the front of the coin features a left-facing portrait of Washington with the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," while the reverse shows a detailed bald eagle perched with wings spread wide, a symbol of American strength and freedom. By 1981, the Washington quarter had already been in production for almost 50 years. The letter P below Washington's neck stands for the Philadelphia Mint, which produced more than 601 million quarters that year. So yes, the 1981p quarter is generally common, but like with many U.S. coins, A small number of rare errors and special condition examples have made a huge difference in value. Now let's talk about what makes some 1981p quarters so valuable. After 1965, all circulating quarters were made from a copper-nickel clad composition, a copper core covered by nickel layers. But occasionally, errors happen. The famous 1.5 million $1,981 P Washington quarter was struck on the wrong planchet, a 90% silver blank that was never supposed to be used that year. This kind of mint error is extremely rare. It's what collectors call a transitional or off-metal strike, meaning it bridges two different coin types or metal compositions. Because the minting process is automated and fast, mistakes like this can happen when leftover silver planchets from proof or special mint sets accidentally get fed into the presses used for regular coins. That one rare coin was authenticated and graded by a professional coin service, found to be in near-perfect mint state condition, and when it hit the auction block, it set a record price. Its metallic composition, sharp details, and historical significance made it a one-of-a-kind find, earning its million-dollar status. Even if you don't have that exact coin, there's still plenty of reason to check your 1981p quarters carefully. High-grade examples in mint state 67 or higher can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Coins that have never been circulated and still show full mint luster, that bright, original shine, are the ones collectors want most. Over time, finding pristine coins from the early 1980s has become harder and harder, which is why the best-preserved ones command such high prices. When inspecting your own 1981p quarter, pay close attention to its condition and details. Washington's hair, cheek, and jawline are the first areas to show wear. On the reverse, look for full definition in the eagle's feathers and claws. A coin with no scratches, no dull spots, and a mirror-like surface could be worth getting graded. Next, look for minting errors. These are the coins that often bring the biggest money. Double die errors, where the design looks slightly doubled, are some of the most sought-after varieties. Check the date, the lettering, and the words "In God We Trust" for any doubling or shadowing. Off-center strikes are another type of error that can raise the value. That's when the design isn't perfectly aligned with the rim. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the higher the price collectors are willing to pay. Another detail to watch for is the coin's edge and color. A regular 1981 quarter will have a visible copper layer when viewed from the side. If yours appears silver all the way around or seems heavier or lighter than normal, it could be struck on the wrong planchet. A typical 1981p quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If yours weighs closer to 6.25 grams, that could indicate a silver error. A good digital scale can help you check this. That if you think you found something unusual or in perfect condition, don't clean the coin. Cleaning can damage the surface and destroy much of its collector value. Instead, handle it carefully by the edges and consider sending it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC. Once a coin is authenticated and graded, it's sealed in a protective holder that also verifies its condition and rarity. A professionally graded mint state coin can easily sell for far more than an ungraded one. One of the reasons the 1981p Washington quarter has become so intriguing to collectors is because it represents the final years of the original eagle-back design before the U.S. Mint began major changes later in the 1990s with the State Quarter series. The 1981 issues mark the end of an era for classic Washington quarters, and that alone adds an extra layer of historical importance. The story of the million-dollar 1981p quarter shows that you don't need a century-old coin to have something valuable. Rare minting errors can happen in any year, and when they do, they become legendary. The excitement of possibly finding one in your own pocket change is what keeps collectors searching day after day. To sum it all up, the 1981p Washington quarter dollar might seem like an everyday coin, but certain rare versions have proven to be worth incredible amounts of money. From high-grade mint state examples to rare off-metal errors, these coins can bring serious profits for anyone who knows what to look for. And that $1.5 million quarter stands as a reminder that sometimes a small piece of metal can hold a huge story. Before you go checking your change, make sure you're subscribed to the channel for more videos about rare coins, hidden treasures, and the fascinating history of U.S. money. Hit the like button if you found this interesting, and leave a comment below if you've ever come across a rare coin or want me to cover another year next. Thanks for watching. And as always, happy collecting. Welcome back to the channel, coin lovers and treasure hunters. Today we are talking about one of the most surprising and talked about modern coins in U.S. history, the 1997 Washington quarter dollar, a coin that looks just like the change in your pocket, but one special version of it has been valued at over $1.3 million. Yes, you heard that right, a simple quarter worth over $1 million. So let's dive deep into its history, its design, and the secrets that make this coin so incredibly valuable. The Washington quarter has been a staple of American currency for generations. First introduced in 1932 to celebrate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, it replaced the standing Liberty quarter. The design, by John Flanagan, features the profile of George Washington facing left on the front, with the word Liberty above, and the national motto, "In God We Trust." The reverse shows the mighty bald eagle with wings spread, a symbol of American strength and freedom. This classic design was used for more than 6 decades until the state quarter program began in 1999, making the 1997 issue one of the last of the original design. Now, let's focus on the 1997 P quarter. The P Mint mark stands for the Philadelphia Mint, where over 595 million of these coins were struck, which sounds like a lot, and it is, but what most people don't realize is that even in such massive mint runs, mistakes happen, and some of those mistakes create coins that are so rare they can be worth a fortune. The 1997 Washington quarter became legendary in the coin collecting world because of a rare and mysterious mint error that appeared on only a few examples. Collectors have reported double die obverse off-center strikes, and even coins struck on the wrong planchet. One famous example was struck on a planchet mint for a dime, making it lighter, thinner, and slightly off color. When certified and authenticated, this coin shocked experts when it sold for a staggering $1.3 million in a private auction. The combination of the rare mint error, pristine condition, and unique metallic features made it a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. To understand why this coin reached such an incredible price, you need to know what collectors look for. First, rarity is key. If only a handful of coins exist with that specific mint error, the value skyrockets. Second is condition. Coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC that achieve a grade of MS68 or higher are extremely desirable because they are almost flawless. And finally, the story behind the coin adds to its mystique. A 1997 P quarter struck on the wrong planchet with a sharp strike and mirror-like luster is a perfect storm of rarity, beauty, and history. Most 1997 P quarters that you find in your pocket will be worth only 25 cents. But if you find one in uncirculated condition, especially one with a strong strike and brilliant surfaces, it could be worth a few dollars or more. However, if you happen to come across one with an unusual appearance, different metal color, strange weight, or visible doubling on the date or lettering, you might be holding something special. It's always worth checking with a professional coin grader or numismatic expert before you spend it. Here's a quick tip to identify a potentially valuable 1997 P quarter. Look closely at Washington's I and the letters in Liberty. If they appear doubled, that's a strong sign of a double die error. Next, weigh your coin. It should weigh 5.67 grams. Anything much lighter or heavier could mean a different planchet was used, which can dramatically increase value. Coin collecting is full of amazing discoveries, and the story of the 1997 P Washington quarter reminds us that treasures can still be found in everyday change. Who would imagine that a coin minted less than 30 years ago could be worth more than a house? It shows how important it is to pay attention to the smallest details, because that one rare coin could change your life forever. So, the next time you get a handful of quarters, take a moment to check the date and mint mark, because you never know, one of them could be the famous 1997 P worth $1.3 million. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video and love learning about rare and valuable coins, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next coin story. Drop a comment below if you've ever found a rare coin, or if you have a 1997 quarter sitting in your collection. Who knows, maybe your next find could be worth a fortune. See you in the next video, and happy collecting.